It's been a while since I did a Splatoon video, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. At this point, it's no surprise when I say I like designing stuff, even if I'm not best at the game balance portion. So I once again wanted to make more Splatoon weapons, yet while looking over objects and concepts I could work with through the lens of my computer, I found myself looking around my room more and more often to see what I could pull inspiration from. Which got me thinking about the potential that even the littlest oddities hold, and that mixed with the overwhelming options present using the internet, I thought it'd be a fun challenge to take a step away from the computer and walk around my house and see what items I could turn into interesting Splatoon weapons. Which might seem a little too restrictive to some, but when it comes down to it, restrictions often lead to more creative solutions and therefore can lend to much more intriguing products than otherwise. So I feel it's a good exercise to practice every once in a while. Sometimes setting arbitrary rules to follow can really push oneself to try new ideas that they might have missed out on otherwise. With that, I grabbed my phone and started looking around my house. I was originally going to go outside, but nah. I touched plenty of grass doing yard work, plus I live in a more rural area, so there's not much to see besides barn, tree again, dirt. So I'll opt for the indoor options. I guess my room is a good starting point. You weren't supposed to see that. Also, don't mind the mess. I tried cleaning, but I just have a lot of junk. Regardless, I took a look around, but nothing truly caught my attention outright while looking through things. I found my old hunting knife. I don't hunt or anything. I just like it. I don't know if I could make anything super fitting for Splatoon though. I found a creeper pillow. I guess that'd be funny, but definitely out of the question. There's this mini vapor AC. It uses water and turns into a cold mist. That could make for an interesting weapon concept. I also have a normal AC, and I can work with that as well. Also my little Coke can fridge, which I put Pepsi in because that's funny. Inside the actual house, however, I found this K-cup holder. It's actually meant for tea, but this form factor plus the K-cups actually gave me some ideas for a fun weapon concept. On to the bathroom, of which I won't be showing because it's a mess. But I'll show the faucet here, as I think it could make for a unique concept being designed after a water pump and all. There was a lot I could have chosen from, but I just kind of showed the highlights here, and with that, let's jump right into the designs. I decided to take both the normal AC and mini AC to make a hybrid between the two, turning them into a splatling. As beyond there not being many of them to begin with, I felt something as sturdy and strong as an AC felt appropriate to be matched up with one of the strongest raw DPS options in the game. I call it the mini Acer. Though, as always, I will be taking name suggestions in the comments for all of these, so don't hesitate to leave one. Originally, I was going to have this be a unique blend of a shooter and splatling, having two firing modes being the ability to tap fire fast, but still charge for a longer and stronger range attack. However, that sounds boring as hell, and also annoying to play against. Also, I thought it'd work on a different weapon better and be more interesting for that specific class of weapon. But I definitely thought of a much more interesting idea. Remember, this is based off of a water vapor AC. It turns water, or in this case, ink, into mist that it then shoots out. So what if it did the same thing in Splatoon, shooting out a misty ink like a sort of inky flamethrower? I think that'd make for a unique design that's separated from other splatlings and make it worth looking into. The mist, as I said, would act similar to a flamethrower, having low range yet massive DPS close up with a smaller lingering hitbox. If anything, it'd be most comparable to Pyro's flamethrower. If not a bit weaker, we still want it to be semi-balanced after all. Let's say its damage is in between the Mini and Hydra, yet also has some of the lowest range out of all the other splatlings, but also has one of the quickest charges to make up for that. It'd make for a very different playstyle than the other splatlings, which would do great to add some diversity to the class. Painting of this weapon, however, would be a real weakness. Sure, it's strong, but the paint output would definitely be a bit rough. With it being an inky mist, it would still leave ink around, but in a much smaller amounts, comparable to that of a sprinkler being blotches of ink instead of straighter lines like other splatlings. Due to this, I feel a burst bomb would be the best option for it. If not, maybe too strong. So it can be subbed for a curling bomb if burst seems too powerful. And on second thought, curling bomb should probably be what it gets because, burst bomb would make this weapon very powerful. As for the special, there's a lot of options that could work here, but I went with Super Chump, being a good defensive option to shut down chokes and help your team move in closer, where the weapon should excel. I think with Super Chump being a harder to use special due to its sluggishness, this would be balanced out enough as is. With the sad state of Brellas in Splatoon 3, hell, let's be honest, the state they've always been in since their inception, I want to give them a little bit more love. So introducing the Pop Brella, a soda and fridge based splat Brella which would act similarly to the Tenta Brella, in the way that its shield flips out to the side. Yet, the Pop Brella would then pop, its sides open to then resemble a fridge door. Because I don't know, I thought that'd be cute, if not a little corny, I guess. The Pop Brella would work in a similar manner to something like the Blob Blobber, using bubble-like projectiles instead of the typical ink. Instead of bouncing around like the Blobber's bubbles, they'd pop on impact with a small AoE. The pop itself being weaker than a burst bomb, but direct hits being one-shots if within a certain distance. No, you can't snipe people with a Brella, that would be insanity. Just like the Blobber bubbles, these would get smaller as they travel and therefore do less damage, which would also impact the pop damage. Since these can't bounce off of a surface to get smaller like the blobbers, these would then get smaller as they travel through the air. However, due to the nature of it being a bubble, the projectile is a bit slower than others, yet the weapon itself has an okay firing rate to compensate for this. So hopefully it balances itself out in that regard. Most of the brawlers are designed with kits that make them much less offensive and more defensive in a lot of ways, as they need to get in but also not get called out to do much of anything with the tools they're provided, as a lot of them need a little bit of prep time. So for this, I thought giving it more offensive tools might be a nice change of pace, but still tools that could be used defensively as well if needed. With that, I thought Visibomb be quite fitting. It helps with the low painting abilities of the umbrella, is useful in defensive and offensive plays, and, well, it's thematically appropriate with the design being based off of a fridge literally made for soda. Specifically canned soda. Canned soda. Nobody says canned soda. It's a can of soda. What? As for the special, I was thinking Inkjet for a few reasons. First off, it's quite underused, only being on a few weapons. It has decent damage and kill potential, though it is kinda hard to fully utilize, but it still has that potential nonetheless, and it makes up for the lack of the Pop Brothers range. I was also thinking Zipcaster for the same reasons, so pick your poison. The K-Cup holder may seem like it make for kind of a boring design, but just from the appearance alone, I instantly thought it'd make for a very unique type of slosher, so of course I went with that. Say hello to the Quad Cup, a slosher that has the ability to shoot 4 shots, all of which look like Splatoon-y K-Cups that then explode on impact similar to something like the Explosher. I'm realizing there's a lot of explosions with my weapon concepts, with this being balanced out due to the 3 of the cups being inaccurate shots and 1 accurate shot. The accurate shot always has the same arc, yet the other 3 vary in distance and arcs. All shots do about the same damage, but maybe the accurate shots would do a bit less for balancing reasons. I thought this sounded fun to start, but the more I think about it, the more I feel it might be too RNG dependent to truly be fun to use. Sure, the accurate shot makes it still usable, but the more I pondered, the more I realized it might just be a weaker Explosher. There's always that one design I'm unsure of. The OG video was the retro shot, but some of you guys gave me some great suggestions in the comments. My favorite being turning it into a high-powered blaster instead of a shooter. So if you guys have any better ideas, this would be the weapon I'm most interested to hear about. That aside, I would design the kit based off of the OG idea, but after this video I do plan to revisit all my concepts and tweak them based off of your guys' ideas. So if I get any good suggestions, I will definitely revisit this one and edit the kit accordingly. I think a lot can work for this kit, but for now I decided on Burst Bomb since it's fast but isn't super lethal and has great paint, something this weapon would struggle with. Sure, it has a decent bit of range, yet due to the RNG factor there's a lack of consistency in the paint pattern, something that can be a real weakness for many weapons. So Burst Bomb do nicely to counter that, and since the base weapon isn't overly powerful by design, I feel Burst Bomb wouldn't be too overpowered here neither. Along with that, I think Killer Whale 5.1 would be a nice enough special, as it would help the weapon push or pick off targets, though something with better painting might be nice as well, like Inkstorm maybe. The Hydro Pump, a water pump based charger with the unique ability to shoot low power but wider shots, and when fully charged a strong and narrow attack like typical chargers, if not stronger yet slower than most. The range of the weaker shots be similar to a Sploosh, but not nearly as fast, being something that needs to be tap fired. And the charge shot being like the other chargers, if not with a little less range to balance out the better painting with the wider radius tap shots. I'm pretty happy with this design overall, though it definitely feels a bit of a stretch for a Splatoon design in a few aspects, mostly the coloration being a little too dull, though the Blobber and Explosher exist, so I don't know what I'm complaining about here. Actually, a lot of Splatoon weapons are pretty dull in their coloration for such a colorful game. It's not a bad thing, it's just now noticing that. That aside, I feel the metallic blue look really helps here and makes it feel a little bit more justified, being something the OG inspiration had that I thought be a fun thing to transfer over. It's a small detail, but something that helps break up the otherwise bland colors. As for the kit, I thought Autobomb be a nice enough sub. It's not on too many weapons, could be nice for locating the approximate location of enemies, even if it seldomly splats anyone. It still has the potential to scare people out of hiding or catch them off guard. The special would be Trizuka, due to it not being on any previous chargers as of right now, and being nice to help with the slightly worse range of the Hydro Pump. Though I don't think it's the perfect special for it, might just be a bit too powerful on it, but due to the better painting it'd probably be a slightly more expensive special to help with balancing, so hopefully that would help reduce spam. And there you have it, 4 brand new Splatoon weapons from Household Objects. This was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed walking around and brainstorming ideas from little oddities lying around my house. It made for a much more personal experience, and that made it a lot more exciting for me. And if you agree, don't be afraid to do the YouTube thing and like, comment, and subscribe. Don't hesitate to leave a comment about how you make these weapons work, what you'd name them, or just any small tweaks you might think improve the overall concept. Also, if you guys like Pokemon by any chance, I made a few Pokemon videos recently, one about a creepypasta and one about making my own region. So if those seem interesting, I'd love to get some feedback on them, so those will be linked in the description as well. And with that, I'll see you all next time. Bye!